All right, we're recording now. Welcome to our Friday podcast interview, Health Markets interview. We have Chris Siciliano, who's a good buddy. We've gotten to know each other over the years, and he's a sales leader in the New Orleans, Slidell area of Louisiana. He's been with Health Markets for about 6 years. He's got a team of agents that are really good. They get licensed in a bunch of states and they go to work and they work really hard. And so Chris is here to share a little bit of his story today on just kind of what his life is like as a sales leader and a personal producer. So, Chris, thanks for being here today. Just kind of tell me, what your life is like before you came to Health Markets.
Well, all right. So my life before health markets was I was trying to figure out something. I was in sales. I ran a call center that dealt with sales, and I've always done sales, whether that was when I was younger, waiting tables. Everything is sales in a way, but I actually had sales jobs, and I would jump from different industry to industry when I would lose confidence in the product or you know, yeah, because once you do that, you can't really sell it if you don't believe in it. It just doesn't happen anymore. You don't get yeses. But I was doing things like selling bathtubs, like in and bathroom remodels, super exciting work. And then I had a very short stint selling rainbow vacuums, very prestigious. Uh, and I realized at that point I can't pitch while I do things. I can't talk and put things together, and like I was a mess. I was so bad at that. It was shocking. And then I measured people's houses for like expensive house paint, and then I started doing this, and uh, that was it. Because so this actually catered to what I was good at was selling and what I wasn't good at was selling. So it
Hmm.
was more a better fit than other things. Because here's the thing, I always had the highest closing percentage, but I had a really crappy um, holding gross. I was bad at it. I'd feel bad for every. I was selling walk-in tubs for like $20,000. Of course, I'm gonna lower the price for some little old lady, and make a mini, make $200 on a $20,000 sale because I didn't have the heart to like try and rip somebody's head off on it. So that's what I liked about this is, there's no negotiation. It's not like I have a certain amount of profit I'm trying to keep. And, yeah, and so that's why I took a shine to this pretty fast.
Okay, so when you first started, so there's a statistic out there, and I don't know the exact number, but the majority of people that try this career, that try insurance, um, they don't make it. And so what we want to help people understand on these calls is that you can make it. It's just you have to have a process and you have to go to work. I mean, it just takes a lot of work. So in the beginning, when you first started, tell me what that looked like. How did you find your business? And tell me this kind of the struggles that you had in the beginning.
Um, when I first started, I actually got hired with US Health. And I was there for like 3, 4 weeks sitting there. I got to the point, that's where I took my licensing tests and stuff. And then they started giving me these cold call leads, and I'm trying to sell $800 a month insurance policies to like low income people. And I'm like, well, what am I doing here? So, a buddy of mine who I worked with at another place says, well, why don't you come over here, which was 2 buildings over. So I went there and then I met everybody and I realized, well, I can sell stuff to anybody. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to transition to this. I've actually never sold a policy with US Health because I was like, I'm catering to like 2% of the population. That's not mathematically good. So, so I liked health markets for that. Plus, they call me on the live transfer, right? So, in the beginning, I had very little training. So I spent many an hour pacing my driveway trying to come up with the pitch, like how I'm going to explain everything. And my life wasn't in a great spot because I had one small kid, I had a pregnant wife, I had a ton of credit card debt. Um, I mean, it was a do or die situation that I had to get it going. And I remember in the first couple of months, I almost quit. And I had a bad first couple of months because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I tell my agents, yeah, you made more money in your first year than I did in my first year, but I didn't have me training me. And so I was just trying to figure out what the heck I was doing. I like my first couple months, I put a couple plans on. To this day, I don't know what the heck that plan does. Like just like I literally didn't know how to build the plans, what supplements to use. I'm just trying to figure it out. So it took me a little while to get the train out of the station. I was taught how to get through healthcare.gov, like the tech part of it, not really how to sell anything. And then one guy told me, hey, how about accident, cancer wise, a crit guard with, the sugar stuff. Throw in a term if you can, and some dental, you're golden. So then I had my template. So then I started building my pitch around that, and it took a while to get it to where I wanted it. And but then I started to see some real results.
Okay,
But yeah,
cool.
it was stressful in the beginning. I'll tell you that.
Right. When did you and at what point, so yeah, I guess you started in 2019. At what point did you become a sales leader?
Uh, February 3 years ago. So that would have been 23, February
Okay.
23.
Okay. Yep. So you've been sales leader of about 3 years, something like that. You've done really well with bringing people in and helping them make good money. There you got several people on your team that have not been here very long, but they're making north of six figures. So that's pretty cool. Kind of tell me about the leadership role. Um, you know, talk about that for a second.
In regards to what the job is or how I do it.
Yeah, just talk about, your just kind of like your recruiting and just kind of what you do, your experience with raising an agent, and kind of what your life looks like surrounding that.
Well, what I do is I don't have a quantity strategy. I have a quality strategy. And as a matter of fact, I talked to somebody last night and me and them talked on the phone for like, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour of what to expect. I tell them exactly what I expect. Like the way we do things, I tell them you got to eat, breathe, and shit insurance for 18 months. If you do that, you never have to look at the prices on the menu ever again. I said, I'll make sure I get you there, but you have to be obsessive about it for 18 months. Doctors go to college for 10 years, come out with $250,000 in debt to make the kind of money that we're going to make in 4 years. I need 18 months. And then I tell them, I need you to do three things. And the funny thing is, all the people on my team, if they do all the three things, they they make it every single time. And if they do two or less of those three things, they have limited results or don't make it every single time. And my three things are: one, you get a handful of states, because we need the calls to come in. Two, I need you to work 4 days a week taking leads at specific times. Be available. You won't be talking the whole time, but be available. And then either you do the fifth day or you do a weekend afternoon. If you do that, and then outside of those times, work your circle of influence a little bit. Little activity. And I say if you do those things, oh yeah. The third thing is they have to learn my pitch, like a musician learns a song. I don't care after they learn it, if they branch off, put it in their own words. They need to know why I said something the way I said it. And I'm going to drill it, and I am going to shove it down their throat until they can say it in their sleep. Because the key of excelling in this is like my first year, if I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about my pitch. Like if I'm in the driveway pacing back and forth, every time I got off a call, where did I lose them? And then when you say something brilliant, like I got to remember that, that pitch evolves to where you want it. And it's that um, obsession with it that is all the difference. Because that's how you start getting the right voice and because we're on a phone on my team. You got to do everything bigger. You can't sound boring. You have to have you have to ratchet it up a little bit to keep their interest and come across as human and not a call center person. So I have you've heard me say I have the Mickey Rocky approach where I only take one or two at a time, and they better be calling me every day. And I tell them before I hire them, I say, listen, I'm about to put hours into you. Don't make me regret it. Please don't come on board if you're not serious or if you got some like life obstacle because I'm putting a lot of work into you. And if I do it all for naught after 3 months, it just part of my soul dies every time that happens. You know,
Yeah, it's
so
frustrating, isn't it? Yeah, bringing people onto the team, and then there's some people just they don't want to go to work, and it's good to get that agreement up front. So,
yeah,
um,
I'm very upfront with it. Like I don't pie in the sky. I'm like, hey, it's tough.
right,
First 18 months. But and then after that, life gets really easy forever,
right,
you know?
right, right, right. Yeah, so let's kind of switch gears for a little bit. Let's talk about personal production. So, kind of, obviously we got a lot of different lines of business here at Health Markets. There's some people that really specialize in Medicare, some people that specialize in life insurance. There's some people that, specialize in different things. Kind of tell me what part of the business you enjoy in regards to personal production and helping people get their coverage.
I mean, I started mainly with under 65 supplements and I got good at it. I was like Chick-fil-A. I sold three or four things and I just tried to sell it as, best as I can. And we're not really selling, we're just communicating. And so then I did Medicare. Medicare is easier in some ways and it's harder in some ways. But Medicare tends to be stickier and, it's like I use my Medicare more of my customers aging in. I get so many under 65. Like the easiest call in the world is somebody turning 65 who's been your client for 2 years and they already have supplements. They understand the thought, it's the best call ever. I mean, and that's where all your policies go to retire, so you can make your $24 a month or whatever it is. Life insurance has always been a little bit harder for me. Um, I do basic stuff, terms. I tend to get frustrated with more elaborate stuff. It's like big risk. Like it's big commissions, big problems. You're yelling at a company like, "Are you trying to sell stuff or not trying to sell stuff?" He had a sore throat 3 years ago. Why do you need, like I get real frustrated with that. Now I'll do it, but I'm still working on it because I try to get good at one thing at a time, add something. And my problem is because I'm training new people, I'm just doing basics the whole time. So if I wasn't a sales leader, I'd probably be a lot better at life insurance, I'll tell you that. But
Right,
I'm teaching all the insurance 101 stuff to get them, off the ground running,
right, right,
you know.
right. Let's talk about some of your agents on your team. Let's talk about you have a knack. You have a knack for, and this is not easy to do, but you have a knack for bringing somebody in and saying something to them that challenges them, that will make them want to do better. Sometimes it's just kind of like just kind of guys just being guys sometimes, but you have this knack of like there's this guy Rick Landers that we talked about at the leader meeting. I think you said he made like 120K in his first year. And then of course there's Logan. I think he's a pretty good kid, pretty
Yeah.
good agent. he went to work pretty hard, and then and maybe if there's Jennifer, or maybe your
Yeah,
sub agent.
Vince Gore did really
Yeah, Vince
good.
Moore. Yeah. So tell me about kind of like the journey, because that as a sales leader for me, that's one of the rewarding things is it is frustrating when you try to bring people in and they don't work. But every now and then you do get somebody that really, really goes to work and they end up making a really good career out of this. I had an agent that came in and he came from this job. I think he was selling water chemical filtration systems or whatever, but he was not really liking it, 50, $60,000 a year. And now he's making over 200. He's been here for about 4 or 5 years. So tell me about that. Tell me about the process of like, your agents on your team, your experience with them, and how are you getting them to succeed, and the enjoyment that you get from that.
Well, first, it's who I bring on. They have to have the gift of gab. They have to like to hear themselves talk, like to talk to other people, and like to help people. And they have to be not lazy. I mean, let's just be honest. They have to be self-motivating. Because I have to try and build some habits. And in the beginning, I just beat it into them. I'm calling them constantly. Like, what are we doing? Like, they I want to hear about their calls and stuff like that. And what happens is because people are stubborn, they tend to try and do it their own way the first month or two, and they fall on their face. And then at some point, they'll be like, "All right, I understand what this guy's doing, like what he's thinking," and then they'll start using kind of mimicking my approach, and then they always take off. And then I tease them for about 6 months about I'm going to get them a shirt that said should have just did what Chris said from the beginning, but um, but yeah, it's just a constant. Like if I could stay on them and then to be on like have their leads open after what do they say after 14 days it becomes a habit. So that's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to brainwash them into working. And then there's always that point where they're like, "Oh my God, I made like $400." So I'm like, "I'll take another lead." Like they're at the
Yeah.
casino pulling on the slot machine.
Right.
Then there's a point where that happens, and then you're like, "Okay, you're going to be just fine."
Right. Right.
Next,
Right. Right.
like, all
Right.
right,
So it's getting them to understand that you don't need to reinvent the wheel, that you have a proven process that works, it makes money for you. And I think that's sounds to me like the struggle in the beginning is just kind of like getting people to go do their ups and downs, fall on their face, and then they come back to you and then they succeed, I guess.
yeah, yeah. And they just have to get used to talking to strangers and learning how to have fun with it.
Right.
Here's the thing. It's like that Dirty Jobs guy said. Don't. It's not about do what you love. It's about learn to love what you do. So you have to like doing it. And it's easier to like doing it when you know what you're doing and the nervousness at least is gone. And that takes a process. Because I think when people start, they're like, God, this is just awkward to me. And then that breeds quitting. I don't let that happen. So my job is to just pummel them in the beginning to get them through. It's like getting into a pool when it's cold. Just let's get it. Once they're in, then it's fun. But it's getting
Right.
them through that threshold where they're comfortable and, whatever.
Right. 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 So so the last call that I had with Amanda, she talked about the freedom that because she's a single mom. She has one child. You have two kids, right? Two
Yeah.
kids. And so tell me about some of the because we get to be our own boss. There is no calling your boss the day before you have something with your kids recital or something and asking permission to go, getting told no. We don't ever experience that around here. We can do whatever we want because we're self-employed. So talk about the freedom and maybe the life that you have today at health, from health markets, between the balance of work and family and all that.
Well, I became a fan of a term called residual income.
Mm.
It's a beautiful thing. You
Mm.
don't have to just eat what you kill. That's why I always say it's not what you sell, it's what you keep. I always say, or I tell my agents, it's like a dragon on a pile of gold coins. Every time you sell something, you just adding another gold coin, adding another gold coin, and pretty soon you get to go on I've told some of my agents, like, you're at 3 years. This is the point where your brain starts to turn to mush. Go take a 3 week vacation. Congratulations. I did that with Logan. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
think that was at about 3 or 4, somewhere around there. But the fact that you can actually the fact that you go on a cruise and make more money on the cruise than what the cruise started. Not that I go on cruises. That's a Kevin Green thing. But, but like you can make more money on the vacation than what the vacation costs. That's bananas. I mean, the fact that nobody's telling me when to get up, when to go to bed. And you know what I love too, is getting paid 4 times a week. That's hilarious to me. I could never go back to a regular job and have to wait every other week for a paycheck. Can you imagine that? Like me and Lee Ponce get on the phone on Wednesday, be like, "What is this? We don't get any money on Wednesdays? It's the Soviet Union?" You know, like because we don't get paid on one, and then we'll get some sort of weird bonus that we didn't even expect. We're like, "No, that's right. We get paid every day here." That's the greatest thing to wake up to a
uh,
paycheck. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
it is the greatest thing. I've noticed that the people around here that just trust the process, they just go to work, right? They just get in front of people. They do the wheel of activity, right? You just like bonuses just show up, like, $9,000 bonus out of nowhere, $300 here, whatever. It's nice, right? And so that's well, the experience that some people have, and there's some people that they just never get to experience that because they just don't believe. And I think that's probably the number one thing. It sounds to me like out of everything that you do is I think this is the same for all sales leaders. If you have to be good at this, if you're a leader, but it's really not getting them to do all the stuff. It's just getting them to believe that they can do it, right? And
Yeah.
so that's really the ultimate thing. If they believe they can do it and gain a little bit of confidence, then they'll turn this into a beautiful career and they'll end up doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show them. I'm like, look at me not killing it my first year.
Right,
And then just watching it just take off. And I'm
right,
like,
right.
yeah, I know. I didn't think it would, I didn't think I was going to make this kind of money, and, as long as like I said, 18 months,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I think my favorite thing about the job, other than getting paid, well, probably more than getting paid 4 or 5 days a week, is I loved it when like you get somebody who's paying like $2,200 a month for their insurance, and you give them more stuff for the same company for 350, and you get to be like, all right, Dave, you go buy that truck now,
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like I love that.
yeah.
I think that's. And then when your customer call you, they'll be like, "How you doing, Mr. Chris? How are them kids?" I love that. Like, you know,
Yeah,
it's just, yeah, and that's what's different about sales is you're literally on their team. It's
right.
not like you're selling them a 2015 Honda Civic. It's a whole different thing. I used to sell advertising to car dealerships, so I make a lot of analogies like for that. But yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, we're kind of right up against the end of the call. Is there any parting words that you have? And also for anybody watching this video, this call today, if you're in the Louisiana area or actually anywhere and you want to come aboard to Health Markets, you want to be under a good sales leader, you can leave a comment or send us a DM and we'd be happy to talk to you about that. But Chris, before we end the call, do you have anything final that you want to say to anybody that's watching?
Well, if you're trying to get into this, um, yeah, I mean, it just buckle down. No matter what you do, it works. Like, you just got to, whatever you do, do it hard. That's it. And some things work faster than other things, but everything works. Is you just got to keep getting better and trying to improve, and you have nothing to worry about. And you don't have to act all like corporate and stuffy. Be yourself. That's what actually makes you the money. The people who make the most money tend to have bigger personalities. So let your freak flag fly a little bit. Like be yourself, and just go. And the last thing I'll say is when you're selling things, don't sell what Sell what you would have, like what you would get if you were in their situation. Don't oversell. That makes you less money. Just take care of people and they'll give you referrals. It's not rocket science. You actually get to be the good guy versus most other sales jobs. So that's what makes it unique. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. I appreciate you being on the call today, and we'll throw this video out there, and I hope a lot of people watch it. But thank you again, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right.